Welcome to Twitch.tv, my name is Markus Olodyn Koskivirta and this is the Hearthstone.fi Monday Night Community Tournament number 29. We are starting off with the first semi-final, which is Kufdon from Finland versus Craikey from Germany. I will tell both the players that they are good to start playing and will join the matchup right after this. As you can see, Craikey is actually playing with the nickname Staxons, and we'll join the board on the Finnish player's side. We can see that he has decided to start with his Hunter. He has also brought along Priest and Warrior, while Craikey has Paladin, Druid and Hunter in his disposal as well. This seems more like a mid-rangey warrior, mid-rangey hunter, because of the Dr. Boom. You can sometimes see the Dr. Boom in an aggro face hunter as well, but it is more commonly in the mid-range selection of cards. All of these other cards belong in both the archetypes, and it's still impossible to tell. The Juggler into an Unleash the Hounds combination is nice for turn 5, but the first turns 1 and 2 are a bit slow. This top deck Abusive Sergeant could be the aggressive option to go for. Get in there and fight, maggot. We'll open the cards from Staxon's side of the board. See a Lay on Hands, an Owl, a 5 mana Taunt, and a Sylvanas. This Sludge Belcher will probably be very critical in this matchup unless Kufdon draws into a Silence effect or some other way to handle it very efficiently. Currently, though, first turns 1 and 2 for Staxons were very slow with just a hero ability, which will be able to contest that Abusive Sergeant, but not before it has already done its 2 damage for 1 mana effect, which is quite effective. Since he popped down the Misha from the Animal Companion, this Haunted Creeper has no reason to trade into your R&B Cowl. You're just gonna go for the aggression, trying to keep up the pressure on the Paladin's face as fast as you can, because in this matchup you know that if it's gonna go into the late game, you're gonna be in a very difficult position. Things like Tyrion, things like Lay on Hands will make sure that your life as a hunter is really difficult. Like I mentioned previously, turn 5 or 5 mana, you can go for the Knife Juggler Unleash the Hounds combination, and we're gonna see that with the coin play. Making sure that 3 juggles hit very good targets on the board. 3 minions, only 1 minion, only 1 in 4 chance to hit the face from those juggles means that all of these dogs will in fact do a 2 damage burst the turn they come out instead of just 1. Now, if the turn 6 rolls out and Misha is still with us, the Black Knight might actually get pretty crazy good value, but I'm guessing that he might actually consider the Cog Hammer combination as well. But you don't really have anything to play into it except for the Big Game Hunter, and that's not a card you want to be using just to get taunt with due to its small hit point pool. If you go for the Houndmaster on the Misha, excuse me, then you can go for the aggressive removal onto it, but I do believe that the Owl is a pretty safe play in this situation due to the fact that it's unlikely to get any more value, especially since Tyrion will not be able to be played in 3 more turns. Interestingly enough, he decided to go for the hero power instead of the Animal Companion, because had he rolled a Leok from the Animal Companion, all of these minions would have dealt 5 more damage straight up. So either the Huffer or the Leok would have been 4 or 5 extra damage, which is very strong. I guess he's afraid of an Equality Consecration, which is a possible combo on turn 6. So that's the reason why he chose to not commit the Animal Companion to the board. But it is still quite the strong position to be in. Now let's see, burst of 3, 5, yes, this is lethal. Turn 6 win for the Hunter player Kufdon in this semi-final number 1 of the Hearthstone.fi Monday Night Community Tournament number 29. Quick match to start the games off with. This means that Kufdon will still have his Priest and his Warrior available to him. Now Priest, that's an interesting deck tech choice for a tournament environment. It is one of those decks that currently has fallen out of favor in the ladder scene, mainly because of its fairly poor matchups against Zoo and other very aggressive decks, which the ladder seems to be sort of filled with right now. But when you consider the options in a tournament scene, I guess the Priest has its place. It has pretty good answers to pretty much every control deck and things like that. I understand why it has been made, or why it has made it up to this level. But instead of that Priest, we're gonna see the trusty old Green Patron Warrior from Kufdon instead. And Staxens decides to change up from his Paladin to his Druid, considering that he has a better matchup with the Druid against the remaining two classes, Warrior and Priest. He is not wrong. I believe that in this matchup, the Druid is slightly favored due to his burst potential from the combo. Now let's see. Turn 1 Innervate Shade. I don't think there's gonna be a better start for a Druid player anytime soon. Try and get that Shade growing as fast as possible and then go for the combo on turn 9 or on turn 7 if you've gotten the luck of Emperor Thaurissan earlier on. Absolutely no reason to get it out of the stealth. Just gonna see this guy sit on the board for ages and ages. Probably the Frothing Berserker gonna come down because there's no reason not to play him, and if the opposing player decides to unstealth the Shade just to clear this Frothing, you're actually in a pretty good state. At the 3 mana, of course, you're gonna go for the Wild Growth. There's no reason not to play it, and to go for the Keeper of the Grove with the coin would have meant pretty much nothing. Now, since that Shade is out, you can argue to go for the Fiery War Axe or for the Deathspite removal, or if you want, Frothing Execute as well. I think there's gonna be better targets for an Execute against the Druid, though, so the weapon play makes a lot of sense. Why would you go for the Deathspite over the Fiery War Axe? Well, it works as an activator for the Whirlwind into your Frothing Berserker. There's also bigger targets with 5 hit points in the pool, which are now removable. Had he just played a Fiery War Axe, it would not have been able to handle even a 4 hit point Keep of the Grove or a Sludge Belcher. So that's why the Deathspite was pretty much universally better. You don't want to be using Inner Rage onto just a Gnomish Inventor. Trying to cycle through the deck, pretty unlucky draw with the second Gnomish Inventor. These are fairly slow, but you're not in a bad situation right now as the Warrior. If this Gnomish Inventor gets just 1 hit into the Druidic Claw, you're ready to clear it out with the Deathspite, and if you combo that with the Frothing Berserker, you're gonna get a really big Berserker in no time. The swipe being used on just a single minion, and it is not a big impact minion either. I wonder why he decided to use that. I think it's because of the fact that the swipes 1 damage to everything against the Green Patron deck is pretty weak. If you're forced to use it in a situation where the Green Patrons are on the board already, you're just gonna keep making and creating more Green Patrons, so that's one argument for using it there. I still personally think that maybe the Sludge Belcher would have been an okay option. Even the Black Knight, since there aren't really any taunts in this Patron deck, you would have gotten the 4/5 body on the board. And the 2/4 isn't really a threat. This Druid the Claw will get taken out somehow anyway at some stage. The question just becomes how. If you're gonna use the Whirlwind, he won't be using the Frothing Berserker this turn then. Yep, he's just activating the Execute, leaving the weapon be. The argument for the Frothing Berserker would have also been fairly okay, since you would have gotten 2/4 with the Whirlwind, 4/3. Your Berserker would have been left at 2 hit points, which is risky when it comes to Keeper of the Groves. And Rats, so I guess that's the reason why I didn't want to do it. Double Keeper of the Grove, dealing 4 damage, just to get rid of the Gnomish Inventor. It's not optimal, but at least it's something. If you go Warsong Commander into Frothing Berserker, or Warsong Commander into Cruel Taskmaster. With the Frothing Berserker, you'll be able to take out the Keeper of the Grove number 2. And if you play both of these guys before activating with the Death Spite, you'll get a nice big 6/4 Frothing Berserker. Or a 6/1 Frothing Berserker, actually. And after the hit, he will become an 8/1 Frothing Berserker. Yep. So it would be easily removed with pretty much anything. To use the Fiery War Axe means he's just gonna go the passive route and armor up. Wait for the next turn for this Fiery War Axe to be useful. It can be stopped with the Sludge Belcher. And the Ancient Lord to draw cards won't stop the value from the Fiery War Axe, but it will devote the board with the 5/5 and give you a chance to draw into your combo. And if you get the combo out with these guys on the field, you're very well set. Unfortunately, just a Savage Roar, no Force of Nature yet. And Kufdon has a way to deal with one of these Zombie Chows, or this Keeper of the Grove with just the weapon. If you go for the Warsong Commander, you can combo the Loot Hoarder and the Taskmaster to deal some damage and clear out the second minion as well.
What now?
And if you use the Inner Rage on the Taskmaster, that's also an option to buff him up so he can remove the Ancient Lore at some stage. But of course, you want to use the Loot Hoarder first to get the draw. Yeah, that's the correct call. Now the Taskmaster is able to use his ability to clear out the Keeper. And of course you go face. There's no reason to use the Inner Rage yet. You would just leave the Ancient Lore up at 1 hit point, and that's pretty useless since it would go up to good value by removing the Taskmaster. That's not really a threat against the Sludge Belcher, and there is no silence from Kufdon right now. Grom by himself would benefit from the Inner Rage and would be able to clear out the Sludge Belcher. But I think if you're gonna go for the Sludge Belcher clear, you would be better off using the weapon and the existing minion and then gromming up to destroy the 1/2. The other options are not that great. The Frothing dies to this Paladin Shredder under all circumstances. Inner Rage to use and remove to get value and make sure that your minion stays sticky on the board. Of course, you are still dead to the combo, but you would have been dead to the combo anyway, so I understand why he did this play. He develops the 10/6 on the board, and the 2/1 Cruel Taskmaster is left alive. So, it is the more conservative option. Interestingly enough, Staxons goes for the Savage Roar right now because of the fact that I think he believes that he can take the game just by asserting board dominance, and he doesn't need his primary win condition to handle Kufdon's future board. It might be a mistake, because if Kufdon is able to stabilize, somehow draw into things like... Well, what could he draw into? The Patron by itself won't be enough, not without the charge. And even with the charge, it's not gonna go through this taunt wall. It is looking very strong for the Druid player right now. Kufdon will have to sacrifice both his Acolytes to try and draw for cards. There's definitely lethal on the board already. Unstable Ghoul, Battle Rage. Well, you can only use the Battle Rage for 1 damage. Or 1 card. It's not a whole lot, it's just a Dread Corsair. It might stop the lethal from becoming a fact next turn, but I think you still want to draw with the Acolyte of Pain. What could you get? Even the second Dread Corsair is not enough. Well, the Warsong Commander enables yours Ghoul and... you don't have mana to play these all. The Dread Corsair could kill off the 1/2 spawned by the Belcher. And if you use the Frothing Berserker, then you would actually have a fairly big Frothing at your disposal. Now you use the weapon to clear out the Sludge Belcher, use the 3/3 to clear out the 2/4, and use the belch or use the Frothing to. Do you go for face? Because I don't think. Yeah, don't go for face. You go for the trade into Sylvanas. Hope that he gets this Warson Commander. There we go. And you might stay alive for one more turn.
No play. None shall play.
And unfortunately for Kufdon though, the Black Knight has been held in their hand of Staxons or Craikey for the whole duration, and that's the end of that. 1-1 in this best of 5 series, where both players will need to win 3 rounds in order to advance to the final. Kufdon has still his Patron Warrior and his Priest left, and Craikey now has his Hunter and his Paladin available to him.
Versus Uther.
I will fight with honor.
Victory or death!
Just marking the used classes up so I won't get mixed up. Now this is a really spell-heavy starting hand. You want to get rid of all those late game cards and try and draw into some more early game pressure. This Loot Hoarder is an interesting choice as well, because some players say that it doesn't really fit the deck because of the amount of Whirlwind effects can easily make it just a dead 2-mana card that you just cycle through your deck. So there are players who use it and there are players who don't use it. But in the case of Kufdon, he has decided that it is in fact viable as an option to be used. The Master for Battle will get destroyed by the Whirlwind effects. Luckily for Kufdon, there is no Quartermaster in the hand of Craikey, so he cannot get maximum value out of those immediately. But if he doesn't clear out all those 1/1s, then the Cog Hammer will get pretty good targets. Well, more than likely the Pellet Shredder will actually be played down on 4 and followed by a Sludge Belcher. You don't want to trade a 2/1 into just the 1/1s. And for Kufdon, his hand is pretty much dead if he doesn't go for the Whirlwind Loot Hoarder or if he doesn't go for the Coin Deathspite. And in the case of Coin Deathspite, you would go for the face damage and hope that the opposing player cannot utilize his 1/1s efficiently before you're able to proc the Death Rattle. He decides he wants to go for the Whirlwind Clear first. And there's the Quartermaster. There are now no targets for the Cog Hammer. The only good option is the Pellet Shredder. And with the Deathspite, you will be able to clear out the Shredder easily. There's no reason to play the Acolyte of Pain yet. More than likely playing the Acolyte of Pain on the upcoming turn with the Death Rattle, Whirlwind proc. And this Ancient Watcher is completely dead unless Craikey runs Silences as well. There's nothing you can do with an Ancient Watcher in a Paladin deck. Don't think there are Defenders of Argus or Sunfury Protectors either. Oh, wow. Okay, Cog Hammer. Cog Hammer can have a really good target in an Ancient Watcher. That's a 4/5 Divine Shield wall right now. And yeah, Patron Warriors don't run Silence either. And if you were to silence this guy, what would you get out of it? You would get a 4/5 minion able to attack your face. Pretty much anything right now to proc this Divine Shield is what Kufdon wants to see. Sacrificing this poor Gnomish Manor in the process is an acceptable loss. And if Zombie Chow and Cog Hammer are used to take her out, which is likely the case, this Divine Shield will continue to be a pain in the behind for Kufdon. Dread Corsair. If you played Dread Corsair, then you would play probably the Acolytes into the whirlwind effect from the attack, or if you redo the weapon into another one, you'd go for the whirlwind without attacking into the 4/5. Coin boom though, yeah, there's no downside to that one. Always the strongest turn 7 play. And the question is, do you play the Dread Corsair or do you not play the Dread Corsair? I think it's a good call to not play the Dread Corsair because you would just sacrifice it for no reason. The opposing player would get effective trades from his existing minions and from his weapons, and if he decides to use those attacks from the weapon into the boom bots, it's nowhere near as bad, because those boom bots will more than likely trade 2 for 1, and if nothing else they will get rid of that Divine Shield. Unless you get really unlucky and all the boom bots just hit face for 1 or 2 damage, and that would be pretty catastrophic in these situations for Kufdon. Equality means you can easily deal with the Doctor, since all your other minions are basically at 1. Only your Watcher is the one that suffers a little bit. And with the Divine Shield, that's not too bad either. Let's see, where do you hit? 50% chance, and there we go. Exactly what you wanted to see as Kufdon. And now that Coghammer goes out, he wants it to see go into the Watcher. And nope.
Reporting for duty.
Inner Rage would have to be used to get rid of it. Oh, nice. Whirlwind from the top.
Blood and plunder.
He decides to go for the Inner Rage play before Whirlwind. This means there will be 2 minions on the board for the Whirlwind proc from the weapon. And 3 minions means 4 card draw from Battle Rage. This might just be the swing turn we were looking for. You just saw the Equality come out, so you're not afraid of the Equality Consecration combo as much. Of course, Tyrion does mean that you're not in a great situation to handle it, but at least you still have 4 green patrons that you can use effectively to handle the situation. 8 mana. Ridiculous Frothing is always an option. Fiery War Axe to pop off the shield. You don't only take 6 to the face. Emperor Thaurissan also is nice. This means he will not be using the Frothing. Yep. Because if he were to use the Frothing, then he would want to play it before attacking into Tyrion. Of course, Execute will not get any better value. And let the good times roll. Everyone get in here. I do not believe there are any outs for Staxons right now. Even if he had drawn into the Consecration, it would not have been enough. There's no way to stop this onslaught from happening.
Follow the rule.
Even if he starts clearing out these green patrons one by one and plays down the biggest taunt he can find, it's not enough to stop it. You have the Frothing plus the War Song and the Fire War Axe or Death Spite at your disposal. So that's easy lethal. We'll just wait for Kufdon to play it out. And it is now 2-1 in favor of our Finnish player. He only has his Surprise Priest deck. Now, Priest versus Paladin. Matchup of heals and who gets the better late game options. I don't think we're gonna see any of these cards held in your starting hand. Both the Velens, Sylvanas, and Defender will go out. And I think I saw Craikey holding a Tyrion and something else, so of course you're gonna mulligan that out as well. Juggler into Muster for Battle, that's a very nice start. Double Northshire Cleric. You're actually at a situation where you can afford to play that first Northshire Cleric as a preemptive measure against dudes being spawned. So I would like to see Kufdon play the Northshire Cleric right now. You're holding on to 2. So the he's the card draw value higher than I would have. See, he should have played it. Of course, it's always easy to be.
Is someone injured?
Hindsight is always 2020, as they say. Double Nurture Cleric is a situation where you usually never want to be at, because these guys can be exploited somewhat. I would prefer to see the Balance Chosen over this Powered Shield, but with this play, you're basically drawing 2 cards and sacrificing one of your Nurture Clerics. Just so you won't overdraw too much. I respect that decision. With the Balance Chosen, you would have been left with a double Nurture Cleric situation, and that's not optimal. At 4, okay, you would have 1 target for the Defender, you would have perfect mana for the Pilot Shredder, you're facing 3 1/1s, and the opposing player has the coin possibility with the Quartermaster. So, yeah, I think you're gonna use the Cleric to clear out one of these 1/1s, and just go for the most mana efficient play you can think of. Even with the Quartermaster, which is gonna go down, he will only be able to clear out so much, and you'll still have your Shredder's 2 mana spawn available to you. Turn 5, Holy Nova as well. Means that, oh, he attacked face with the second Silverhand Recruit. That's very, very surprising. I think he would, I would have personally wanted to have seen the attack from the Silverhand Recruit into the Pellet Shredder, because we would have gotten a guaranteed value trade into it. This opens up possibilities for the priest to handle your board with a minion which is sticky. And that's not a situation where you want to be at. There's the Balance Chosen, taking out the 2/5 and Lesser Heal to solidify your position on the board. Had he used the 3/3 to take out the 4/3, then this Pilot Shredder would not be such a big problem. It would be some sort of smaller minion. Of course, you always have your Equality available to you, and other pretty hard removals. But now that the Death Rattle hasn't been procced earlier, it doesn't matter what the spawn it gets. Even the worst 1/1 will be able to trade with your existing dudes. So, still, so and so. Of course, no targets for Vol'jin means no Vol'jin. Turn 6, the Outer Sun, you should go for it. Even though there is lethal to kill off the Outer Sun this turn, I think it's still an okay value. The Death Lord means you're going for the Zombie Chow. Against a board like this, that's also very respectable. You just saw the equality go down, so the Death Lord is actually fairly safe, unless there's a second equality. It does make sense, it does make sense. You don't want to waste your Outer Sun into just these dudes being spawned. Now, even when you attack with the weapon into the 2/4, or if you were to attack with the weapon into the 2/4, it would mean that the heal would not be enough to draw this Death Lord from the range of lethal from Loatheb. But now that you didn't attack and the opposing player was able to handle your Loatheb pretty perfectly, let's just have a look how when it was Vol'jin into attack from the Zombie Shell to attack to the face. Well, that works. Shadowward Death, a very nice top deck against Dr. Boom right now. It leaves you up with 5 mana as well. So you could go for the pretty ridiculous Defender of Argus play. Shadowward Death, the 7/7. I guess if you're afraid of a Tyrion. If you're afraid of a Tyrion, you don't use the Shadowward Death yet. You just go for the Defender of Argus. And Strinkmeister out the Dr. Boom. This is, in my opinion, a bit too conservative. Yeah, you get the heal to the Vol'jin, but the Boom bots now have a chance to just randomly outright kill you. Or kill the Vol'jin, I mean. The Shadowward Death, being reserved for a possible 8-drop, might end up backfiring. And there we go, 2 to Vol'jin, and this Boombot, or this attack, will be able to take it out. He does not want to face tank 7 damage, so he'll just use the second Boombot from it. Well, at least the second one deals a very respectable 3 to the face. no real value targets for Aldor means we're probably just gonna see the Sylvanas hero power. Because of the fact that she'll be able to contest the hit point pool of the Death Lord, even with the heals from... Oh, wow. Do we get a full clear? No, we don't. We'll just get the Shadow Word Death into Sylvanas for an MC into the opposing Sylvanas, and the situation is just looking so much grimmer for the Paladin player right now. Even if he is able to somehow build up some sort of presence onto the board, with these guys and the Kel'Thuzad, wow, Kufdon should be able to completely resurrect all his smaller minions each and every turn, while keeping Staxon's board fully empty. Light Bomb, well, if he attacks the Shrinkmeister into the Shredder first, and the Sylvanas into the mini-bot for the Divine Shield removal, this actually becomes a viable option. But it does hit your own Death Lord for 3 and your own Defender for 2. Do you need it? I don't think you need it. You go for the Potted Shredder removal. If there's a 3-2 from there, you can use the Defender to trade into it. 3-6 would take out the Peacekeeper or the Divine Shield. Holy Nova. Yeah, Holy Nova right now does a lot more than a Light Bomb. It kills off the opposing minions if you attack with the Defender of Argus into the Aldor Peacekeeper. You can actually just ignore the Defender of Argus for now. Sorry, the Aldor for now, if you want, and just go for the classic all to the face strategy. But I guess he values the spawn from the single Kel'Thuzad over other options. I think that this is more prone to get completely wrecked by a single Equality Consecration, since you're so fully committed to the board already, that the Holy Nova would have actually been a bit better. Even if they were still able to clear the board from most of the minions, then your Kel'Thuzad would get value from 1 or 2 at least. Black Knight instead of a Tyrion is pretty good luck for Kufdon and bad luck for Staxons, because he absolutely would have liked to have seen that Tyrion come down. And how much damage is there on the board right now? 2, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, not quite lethal yet. Holy Nova value. And all to the face, or do go for the Defender of Argus Kel'Thuzad attack into it. Leave your 2-8 up. Ah, well, all to the face we go. I don't think there are outs. He doesn't have the second equality or the consecration in his hand. With this Truce of a Champion, he'll be able to try and get some value from the Death Lord, but even then, there's no way he can clear out everything on the board, because of the Kel'Thuzad staying alive, no matter what is done. Lay on Hands being used after the proc from both the weapon and the Black Knight. Now he can Iron Beak Owl the Kel'Thuzad. That is one option. But there's still a lot of damage potential on the board. No, Holy Nova, without even thinking about it, completely destroys the opposing side of the board. See the card, play the card. That's the end of that story. Heal on the Sylvanas. I don't think it's significant right now, but what does 2 hit points to your face do either? The Khazan Mystic being a dead deck tech card right now. I'm calling it. This is over. Kel'Thuzad being able to push enough pressure against Craikey, and Kufdon will go to the finals as the 3-1 winner of this Hearthstone.fi Monday Night Community Tournament number 28. Congratulations to him. We will move this stream to the next semifinal in just a short moment. Please don't go anywhere. We will be right